So we find out that the little square box, or that little square box, which is written by whom? Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So who was he, and what does the writer talk about them? The author said that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a British writer. Okay, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is a what? He is a British writer. So, and famous for his story about the brilliant detective Sherlock Holmes. The stories broke broke ground in crime fiction. His other works include fantasy and science fiction stories, plays, romances, poetry, non-fiction, and historical novel. Some of his other famous books are The Lost World and The White Company. Let's go to the text of the topic called That Little Square Box. The story begins with what? Now, the speaker is a nervous man traveling from where? America to England. Now, whoever is telling this story. So, on board the America to England, on board the ship Spartan, right? On board the ship Spartan. Now, what do you mean by Spartan? If you talk about that, the meaning of a Spartan is indicating as a what? What do you mean by Spartan? Any idea what is the meaning of Spartan here?
No, sir.
It means called as a simple, frugal, and austere, right? So you can say that self-restraint or self-stop. Okay. So, or you can say that somebody who is reserved means doesn't talk much. So if we talk about that, the author stated that means it is the name of the board, it is the name of the ship called a Spartan. So the speaker sees two men board the ship at the last minute and is immediately suspicious. The meaning of suspicious is called as a doubt. Doubt of the whom? The doubt of the strange object they are carrying and their secretive manner. So the speaker thought, what are the two men planning? Will the speaker be able to stop them? So we will learn this or understand to solve the mystery of that little square box. Now, the story started with saying, we were fairly started upon our voyage. Voyage means journey. There was a general rush or, quick among the passengers in search of berths. So we know that berths means place where they could sit. A pile of luggage was lying on one side of the deck and awaiting their turn to be taken below. With my usual, the speaker said, with my usual love for solitude. Solitude means that called as a lonely, right? A state of being alone. The speaker said, I walked behind this and sat on a coil of rope between them and the vessel's side. So, what did the author said? That how means he wanted to stay solitude or lonely, and that's why. What did he do? Means walked behind these and sat on a coil of rope between them and the vessel's side. Right. So behind them, these means what? Now referring to the a pile of luggage which was lying on one side of the deck. So and everyone was waiting their turn to be taken below. Right. So the author also walked behind this and sat on a coil of rope between them and the vessel's side. Vessels means referring to that boat or ship. The author said he was aroused from his daydreams by a whisper behind him. So the author was aroused. Aroused means woke up from his daydreams, right, by a whisper behind him. So, when somebody was making a kind of a sound, and because of that sound, the speaker woke up. So, the voice said, "Here is a quiet place." So, somebody spoke. "Sit down and we can talk it over in safety." So the author heard somebody's voice, and what did he do? Means he woke up and see that looking through a gap between two colossal chests. Two colossal chest means that called as a two large chest, right? So I saw that the passengers who had joined us in the at the last moment, they were standing on the other side of the pile or gathering that had failed to see me as I crouched in the shadow of the box. Crouched means called as a, that maybe the the speaker was lying, or slowly means he was means going forward in the shadow of the boxes, means many boxes were kept and he was means trying moving. The one who had spoken was a tall and a very thin man with a blue-black beard and a colorless face. Now the speaker was telling about that two of the people who were were talking with each other. Between them, one person is very thin person, and the appearance is called as a blue-black bird, and a dull face or colorless face. The speaker said his manner was nervous and excited. Whose manner was nervous? That called as the thin man. His companion or his friend was a short little fellow with a brisk air. When you say that brisk air, it means called as a uh, was very quick, determined, and practical. So the author stated about two of the persons and their characteristic, and he said that the first person was tall, thin, and blue-black beard and a colorless face, and the other one was nervous and excited, and his companion, his friend, was a short little fellow with a brisk face or brisk air that called as a means very quick. So these two glanced around uneasily. So they were looking around uncomfortably, as if to make sure they were alone. It was feeling like they were alone there. Well, Muller, the taller of the two, said to the other one that, well, Muller is the name. We have got it aboard right enough. We have got it aboard right enough. So we have reached to the place means in the right time. Well, Muller, right? So yes, the other man agreed, whom he had addressed as Muller. It was rather a near go. It was rather a near go means now they very narrowly avoid missing the ship. So they means in the at the right time, they came to they aboard the ship. So it would not have done to have missed the ship. No, it would have put our plans out. Let me see it. Is no one looking? No, they are nearly all below. So as the matter conversation was going on between Muller and the other, right? So they were discussing about that how they reached to the ship at the right time, and uh, their plan. So some plan they have made and their plan will not be successful. So at the same time, they were also careful to see that whether anyone is observing them or not. So we can't be too careful where so much is at stake. Flanagan. Now here you find out the first one name is called as Muller, the other one name is called as a Flanagan. Now we can't be too careful where so much age in a situation where they can lose something important if the plan is not successful. So the meaning of at stake is called as a benefit, or called as a something which is important, right? Flanagan said Muller. And so Muller was saying this, that we shall not or we can't be too careful where we get the kind of a means of benefit or something important, Flanagan. And laid a dark object upon the deck. So they carry a dark object which they put upon the deck. One glance at it was enough to cause me to spring to my feet with an exclamation of horror. The speaker at the same time was hiding in a place, was observing these two people, and he thought that it was seeming like a kind of a surprising of horror. Luckily, they were so engrossed. Engrossed means that called as involved in the matter on hand that neither of them observed the speaker who was hiding. From the first moment of their conversation, so that two person, Muller and Flanagan, the author had felt a horrible sense of misgiving. Misgiving means creating a doubt or fear about whether what is happening is right or not. It appeared more than confirmed as I looked at what lay before me. So the speaker was also very sure that because when he looked at what was kept before him, because he was hiding, he could see. It was what was kept? Now it was a little square box made of some dark wood. So that box was made of dark wood, and it reminded him a pistol case. It seemed like the box seemed like a pistol case, only it was much higher. There was a trigger-like arrangement upon the lid, to which a coil of string was attached. Now the author was describing the box, how the box looked like. So it was a little square box made of some dark wood. It was seeming like pistol case, and it was a trigger-like arrangement upon the lid, to which a coil of string was attached. Beside this trigger, there was a small square opening through the wood. So there was something like a small square through which you open the wood. The tall man, Flanagan, as his companion called him, so peered in for several minutes with an expression of intense anxiety upon his face. So, Muller and Flanagan both were there. So, means the tall man Flanagan, as his companion called him, looked in for several minutes with an expression of means close anxiety or tension upon his face. It seems right enough, he said at last. I, I tried not to shake it, his companion said. Such delicate things need delicate treatment. Put in some of the needful, Muller. Now, here the discussion that occurred between these two were discussing about the box, and they were stating that it was nothing but a delicate and it should be used or means keep in a proper manner. The shorter man looked in his pocket for some time, and then the shorter man produced a small paper packet. He opened this and he took out half a handful of whitish grains, which he poured down through the hole. A curious clicking noise followed from the inside of the box. Curious means called as something which is a strange or unusual clicking noise coming out from the box, and both the men smiled in a satisfied way. So Flanagan said, "Look out, here is someone coming. Take it down to our berth. We won't need it until tonight, and it will be safe there." So they both were talking about the box, and they said that they means need the box in tonight. It would not do to have anyone suspecting what our game is. So they were also stating about what is their plan. So was it called as a verse or not? Have have them fumbling with the box. Fumbling means called as a carelessly or clumsily they hold the box. and letting it up by mistake. So, and the two men laughed with a cold, harsh laugh, means rough laugh, before bearing the mysterious little box away with them. How long I remained sitting on that coil of rope, I shall never know. I tried to recall the words which had been spoken in the terrible dialogue I had overheard. Could these facts lead to any other conclusion? It was clear to me that they were the desperate agents of some group. So the author thought that how long he remained sitting on that particular place where he was sitting. So, and he also thought that means these two people who were talking about terrible dialogue which he had overheard or clearly heard. So he thought that whether he would reach to any conclusion. So he also said that means they were the desperate agent of some groups who intended to sacrifice themselves. So it means they were the terror. So they would not only sacrifice themselves, their fellow passengers, and the ship in one great explosion. The whitest grains which he had seen one of them pour into the box, no doubt formed a fuse. Fuse means called as any of the object or material that is lead to make a bomb explode. So that is why uh, the speaker who saw that the whitest grains which he had seen one of them put into the box, and he thought that it was nothing but an object that lead to make a bomb explosion. So that is why he said a fuse for exploding it. It's a light which once it's on, it will explode the ship. The speaker said he had heard a sound come from the box, which might have been emitted by some delicate piece of machinery. The writer or the speaker heard a sound come from the box. So the box was also making some kind of a noise, and that have been emitted by some delicate piece of machinery. And those sound were also disappeared. But what did they mean by tonight? Could it be that they were putting their horrible design into action on the very first evening of the journey? So the speaker was going for a journey. So he thought that it was the first day of the visit and they were going to do some kind of a horrible or harmful thing. The mere thought of it sent a cold shudder over the writer or over the speaker. During dinner, a well off, right? Now, the mere thought of it sent a cold shudder over me. It means called as the speaker felt extremely afraid or worried, right? So during dinner, a well of conflicting ideas was battling in my mind. So, while the speaker was taking his dinner, so debated rapidly between many different and confusing ideas in his mind. So he was just thinking about that discussion and made a kind of a confusion. So, and he thought that what he supposed to do. Should he accuse them, these two persons who were talking, before both passengers and captain? He thought to reveal them before the passengers and captain. Or should he demand a few minutes? Or should he wait? Conversation with the latter in his cabin and reveal it all. For an instant, he was half determined, means he was not sure to do it, but the thought of becoming observed by all. So he decided he would see them, questioned by a stranger, and confronted. Confronted means face to face. He would meet them and threatening and aggressively he would ask them that what these two conspirators was hateful to him. Might it not be possible that I was mistaken? No, I would procrastinate. It means no, I would delay. I would keep my eye on the two men and follow them at every turn. So the speaker did not see, did not find out what was there in the box, but he means thought that he would keep eye on them. The speaker saw the villains heading to the deck after dinner and followed them. The speaker followed these two villains. The speaker quickly hid himself in one of the live boards that was hung over the deck. In it, he could reconsider or understand his course of action. And by you would find out that by raising his head, he could get a view of the two men. So it was so dark that he could hardly make out their figures. He could hardly means identify their figure. A few of the passengers were separated about the deck, but many had gone below. Many of the passengers gone to below. A strange stillness seemed to pervade the air. A strange stillness seemed to pervade the air, right? So it was a very calm time and it was not allowing the air. We were to let it off at 10. So were we not? Said a voice from night below his boat. So one of the members was telling about that they supposed to execute their mission at 10 o'clock. So yes, at 10 sharp, we have 8 minutes left. So, or yet. So, and another person was replying that yes, they would do the job at 10. They will hear the drop of the trigger, won't they? They will hear the drop of the trigger, won't they? So, does not matter. It will be too late for anyone to stop. It's going up. So they were just discussing that no one would stop them, right? There was a pause here, or silent. Then he heard Muller's voice in a ghastly whisper. Ghastly whisper means called as terribly slowly. There is only 5 minutes more. How slowly the moments seemed to pass. According to the speaker, the time was passing very slowly. So he could count them by the throbbing of his heart. So his heart was also beating. So he thought, it will make a sensation on land, a voice said, right? So out of the two men, one of the person's voice said that means if they do, it makes a kind of a surprising or sensation. Yes, it will make a noise in the newspapers. So they also thought that the action they were going to do will be published in the newspaper. The deck was deserted now. The deck was deserted. Deserted means called as the ship was separated now. Except for those two dark figures crouching in the shadows. Slowly, slowly, the speaker also observing these two dark figures person. There seemed no hope, no help. Death looked me in the face. Whether I did or I did not give the alarm. So, hmm, so, uh, 3 minutes more, Flanagan said. Put it down upon the deck. It was the little square box. I knew by the sound that they had placed it almost exactly under my head. The speaker thought that means he was going to die because they were exactly placing the box under his head. So a minute and a half more, Flanagan said. So Flanagan was also from the two, one of the members. Shall you or I pull the string? So Flanagan said to Muller, that who will pull the string? Muller said, I will pull it. So I could stand it no longer. So the speaker who could not tolerate that, right? His nervous system seemed to give way in a moment, right? Means the speaker could not remain calm anymore. The pressure was too much for him. So what he did, stop, I screamed, springing to my feet, or called, I said, stop. So the speaker here stopped them. They both staggered. Staggered means called as they both almost fell over because of the shock or surprise calling. I imagine the speakers imagines that they thought that the speaker was a spirit with the moonlight streaming down upon my pale face. It means these two uh, people thought that what the speaker was a ghost or spirit, as it was the night time and the speaker's face was pale, odd. The speaker was brave enough now. I had gone too far to stop. Would you have the blood of 200 upon your souls? I cried. So the speaker said with a sad voice that, are you going to kill 200 people? So Flanagan said, he is mad. Time's up. Let it up, Muller. So when who Flanagan said to Muller to uh, you know of the box. So at the same time, means the speaker jumped down upon the deck. So sprang down or jumped down upon the deck. You shall not do it, the speaker said. So at the same time, means somebody said, it's none of your business, right, of yours. Clear out of this. So you leave from this place. So the speaker thought something else, and these two people were doing something else. So the speaker said, I will not confound the fellow. Confound the fellow means that called as an expression of annoyance towards them. Confound the fellow. I will hold him, Muller, while you pull the trigger. So you would find out that when Flanagan said to Muller that he will hold or he would hold whom, means the speaker, and Muller will pull the trigger. Next moment, the speaker was just struggling in the Herculean. Herculean means called as a powerful hold of the man. He pinned me up against the side of the vessel. So one of the person or one of the members who hold the speaker and took the side of the vessel and held me there. And he stood there holding the speaker. The speaker said, he saw the other approach the fatal box. Other approach the fatal box means he thought that the box was fatal, deadly. He bent over it, stooped over it means bent down over it, and seized the strings. Right? They came a sharp snap. They came a sharp snap. So it was broke. They were broken. A strange rasping noise. So strange means odd and also kind of a harsh noise coming out from it. The trigger had fallen. The side of the box flew out. Immediately the box was open and let off and came out two grey carrier pigeons. Why it is written in a capital letter? To give a emphasis or importance. So out of the two boxes, so it came two pigeons, grey carrier pigeons. So this is an extract or part which was clipped from the columns of the New York Herald shortly after when the author said their departure from America. Extraordinary pigeon flying. A noble match has been pulled off, right, last week between the birds of John H. Flanagan of Boston and Jeremiah Muller, a well-known citizen of Lowell. The start was from the deck of the ship Spartan. At 10 o'clock on the evening of the day of starting, the vessel being about 100 miles from land. The bird which reached home first was to be declared the winner. So they were going to play the game. And the game was means to allow the birds to fly, and whichever the bird will reach the home first will be called winner. Considerable caution had to be observed. So they also see what means some kind of a warning, as some captains have a prejudice against the organization of sporting events aboard their ship. So why did they hide the two pagans in the box? Because they knew about some of the captains who have a prejudice. Prejudice means that called as a partiality, right? Or called as a unreasonable stopping against the organization sporting events. The pagans were confined. Confined means called as a restricted in a specially invented trap, which could only be opened by a spring. So it was possible to feed them through an opening in the tub. So the birds were kept inside it, right? And that could be only be opened by a spring. And to give them the food, so there was a means a top, there was a means you can say open space on the top. In spite of a little difficulty at the last moment, the trap was jump open almost exactly at 10 o'clock. So it was nothing means not about or not only about uh, you can say that planning. Right. It was also Muller's bird reached land in an extreme state of exhaustion of the following morning. While Flanagan's has not been heard of, a few such matches would go far towards popularizing vegan flying in America. So you would find out it was an event which was made for the purpose of what? Means a game activity, right? Which the speaker thought they were the terror and they were going to bust it, the boat. And that's what made nothing but the uh, the whole story. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all about the story. Thank you. We'll meet in the next class. Till then, bye bye. Huh?
Bye, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night.